with what's been happening within the Nigerian economy, there's been a lot of strain on many businesses. And so that is one of the reasons that people sort of look at their numbers and say, how do we get better? Is this market the best for us, or do we have to look abroad?
Hey, welcome to the FinTech Frontlines by Cora. This podcast is a collection of timeless ideas on how to build, launch, and operate a fintech in Africa from the most experienced minds in African fintech. In this episode, Tayo, Gerald, and Bruno talk about the reasons businesses expand and some common indicators you can look out for to know when it's time to expand your business to other countries.
There are very many ways to know, and there are very many reasons that companies look to expand. Some of them are not as lovely as you might think. For instance, with what's been happening within the Nigerian economy, there's been a lot of strain on many businesses. And so that is one of the reasons that people sort of look at their numbers and say, how do we get better? Is this market the best for us, or do we have to look abroad? But other times, it's kind of organic, where you're doing well, but you're also getting inbounds in markets where you're not active in. And I've experienced this a number of times. In the past, I was at a company called Lesson Education. And I was leading sales and essentially expanding the thing across Nigeria. But every now and then, we would get a random customer say, I'm trying to pay, or I'm trying to create an account, I'm trying to download your app, but it's not working. And when we dig, it will be that they are in very far away places. India, US, Canada, but also Ghana, Uganda, Kenya. And the more you get those types of inbounds, the more you start to ask yourself the question, like, is there a need? And make you sort of start to dig in, do some research, learn more, maybe visit those places. To answer your question directly, it's sometimes situational. But sometimes it's sort of part of a longer term strategy where businesses have said, at this point in time, we hope to be at this number of customers. And at the rates that we're going in this one market, we're not going to get there on time. So let's expand our total addressable market and look abroad. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Gerald, based on your experience, what do you see? Like, when do you think is the best time?
Yeah, so I think everything Tayo said is absolutely right. I think what I would just add to that is a couple of things that happen prior to expansion, right? So the first thing you're thinking about is PMF, which is basically product market fit, right? It takes a couple of iterations, it takes a couple of market findings, it takes a couple of execution, and actually being right in the faces of the customers, taking your product to the customers, getting them to use it, and all of that, right? So this process is a lot of back and forth, like I mentioned, right? And not only, so when you are thinking about, how have you, because that's the next question, right? When do I know that I've gotten product market fit? It goes down to a couple of things, like, for example, how frequently are customers coming back to use your platform? There's a whole formula for that, where you can now figure out that, okay, to a large extent, I've gotten PMF, and it's now time for us to expand. Right? So right before even thinking about exploring new markets, the first thing is usually where you're starting off, right? Have you gotten well enough customers, right, to actually say that, okay, we've been able to achieve product market fit for this particular product, right? And then you now start considering what are some of the markets we can consider for expansion. And then even when you're thinking about expanding, there are a couple of reasons, right? Like Tayo rightly mentioned. Number one could be you just want to de-risk Because again, using our Nigerian case study where we currently are, don't forget you took investors' money. Yeah, investors' money most likely was got it in dollars and other foreign currency, right? And then when you are reporting, there's a forex massacre that has happened, right? And then you are not, so even when you are reporting your numbers, regardless of how well you performed, once it's converted, you find out that, oh my God, I'm not even doing anything, right? So there are a couple of reasons. You want to risk, and you want to increase your forex earning potential to ensure that you are able to at least meet up expectations, both from your community, your stakeholders, your investors, your team, and even yourself. So just to add to what Tayo mentioned, right? The first thing is ensuring that you even have, and even when you think you have PMF in one market, don't forget it's very nuanced, and culture influences a lot of things like user behavior, trust, and all of these things. You even have things like literacy levels in these markets, adoption, right? So you find out that something that even worked here might not necessarily work just next door in a republic, right? Or Ghana or any other market, right? So it's all about ensuring that you have well enough customers, having well enough capital, because it can be very expensive as well. And also being very strategic. Right? So I think I'll just stop here for now. Yeah, that's my addition.
Yeah. Thanks. Bruno, I know you have quite extensive knowledge, especially with expansion. It'd be good for you to chime in on when you think is the best time to expand into a new market.
All right, thanks, Abiola. I think Tayo and Gerald has actually said it all. I think first thing you need to put in mind is the availability, or like I would say, you need to have the customers or merchants that are requesting for these markets, right? Mm-hmm. You don't just want to wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm leaving Nigeria, I'm going to Congo DR, right? There should be definitely customers requesting for this market before you even wake up one morning and say, and starting your research, you really want to go to these markets, right? I think what I will add to that is when you have consistent revenue growth, right? If your business has been experiencing steady revenue growth in the market you are presently in, I think it's time for you to start thinking of expanding into a market. Right? And also, when your business is really also running very smoothly in the further markets you are in, right, and you just feel like this market is already saturated. What's next for my company? How best do we actually get more money, get more profits? Can we do it in this market, or we do it somewhere else? Right, so I think those are just the things I need to really add to what Tayo and Gerald has actually stated. And when you have consistent revenue growth, and when your operational efficiency is really up there, and probably when the market is oversaturated, then you can pick up your bag and say, okay, yes, let's start researching into a new market. Let's see how we can really get our revenue up there and see where it takes us. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the FinTech Frontlines. For businesses that are bullish on Africa, Cora provides all the support you need to start and scale with delightful payment products for collections, payouts, and settlements. Learn more at corahq.com.